Is the ancient British language key to understanding the Star Maps of Gwynedd? I would say yes, it is. And that may appear reasonable because the Star Maps of Gwynedd are British and ancient. The next question would be, well, what is the ancient British language? Do we have a dictionary? Yes, we do. It is the Welsh language, and we have Welsh dictionaries. The Welsh language hasn't changed for thousands of years, partly because of the location of Wales, the landscape of Wales, and the culture, the economy, and the verbal tradition in Wales. No army has penetrated into Wales, no exterior culture has managed to pervade over the Welsh culture that has thrived there for thousands of years since the Star Maps of Gwynedd were made, and we can use the Welsh language to prove that is correct. We can also use the Welsh language to understand the culture of the people, why they made the star maps, and even when they made the star maps. And this video is about laying the foundation to demonstrate that, so that other people can scrutinize it and they can do their own research. And if that is so, then it begs the question, if the Welsh language can explain the Star Maps of Gwynedd, can it explain the origin of the Zodiac? Because the Star Maps of Gwynedd are where the Zodiac originated. And I say yes. Well, the Welsh language can explain the origin of the Zodiac. And if that is so, what does it say about the cultures around the ancient world that were supposed to have originated the Zodiac? Some cultures were the first to draw the Zodiac, but it may not have originated there. Is there a common origin of all the ancient cultures? And is there a link between that common origin and the civilization that existed a long time before ours does today? I say there is a common language and a link, and that is the Welsh language. And over time that will be shown, because we will use the Welsh language to explain all the signs of the Zodiac, their names, their symbols, their shapes, how they relate to one another, why Sagittarius is called Sagittarius. It's not because he's an archer. And we can get a glimpse of the culture, the fragments of the culture that survived the great cataclysm, the one before the Noah flood. So it's a great journey back in time and myth, and I would like you to join us. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, and ring the bell, because these videos follow on from one another and it's better to know what has gone before. And over a period of time, I hope to shed some light on the history that had been passed down for thousands of years through the verbal tradition, which had sadly become lost at the advent of printing. But there are enough fragments that we can start to reconstruct some of that ancient myth and culture and the links between prehistory and history. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a few ideas. We're going to use the Welsh language dictionaries. I will try to list all the Welsh language dictionaries that I use in the comments below. Excuse me. If you have any comments or questions, that'd be great if you could put them down below and I will try and answer them. But we will go over now to Wikipedia. It's a useful start place. It's probably not that useful as a finish place, but we will use it as a start place and then start applying the Welsh dictionaries to understand who the Welsh were and what sort of culture these people were. So let's go over to Wikipedia. So here it says the Welsh language is developed from the language of the Britons, which I would agree. Further down here, the word Welsh is a descendant from the German word Walhas. It also says the Romans referred to the Welsh as the Walcae. And if we look at those words, so we have Walhas here. Here it says it means stranger or foreigner or Romance speaker. So I'm not sure, looking from a German perspective, they might have heard of this culture beyond their borders, and they might have heard that they were sort of like Wallas or something like that. And we've got some other variations here using the V as W, Wallach, Wallach, etc. And they might have just said, oh, they're all strangers, or they're all foreigners. And so that's why we have that explanation. If we look at the Romans, they cast a little bit more light on why the Welsh are called the Welsh. So they are looking at these Gaulish nouns, Walcos, Walca, which means hawk or falcon. And that is similar to the Welsh gwalch, meaning hawk. And here we have Old Brittonic, battle hawk. So hawks seem to be important. And if we go to our Welsh dictionary now, here is gwalch, a hawk, a hero that soars. So ancient people, when they were looking at the different sorts of birds, and they wanted a symbol that represented things, hawks soared up and down. Geese probably migrated in V shapes with not a lot of soaring. The songbirds flitted between hedges, and they were really just trying to attach a symbol to a notion. So we have an abstract notion, something that soars, with a fixed symbol, a hawk. It also means a hero. I don't know why that is. Perhaps Gwaed is blood. That sounds quite similar to gwalch. And this component here, gwal, is an inhabited region. So perhaps the combination of all these ideas ended up with the people thinking that they were the hawk people. And there is a connection with something that soars. We have another word in Welsh for hawk. There it is, hebog. And it is also from the root of utterance for some reason. And here we have hebol, uttering, and hebred, an external course. That is important in conjunction with gwalch, that soars, and then an external course that soars. So let's hang on to those notions and think, are there any other examples of hawks in the ancient world? Because the ancient British tradition is a verbal tradition. They didn't write things down, and if they did, nothing has really survived. But we do have examples in the ancient world where people did write things down and they did record images of hawks. So this is probably the most famous one. Horus. the Egyptian prime deity. He was most often depicted as a falcon, a man with a falcon head. The earliest recorded form of Horus is as the deity of Nekhen in Upper Egypt, who is the first known national god. Let us not forget that Horus is actually a Greek word, and there are other spellings of Horus. We have them here, and I'm not sure how those have been arrived at, because there is quite a lot of disagreement as to some of the sounds in Egyptian hieroglyphs and how they have been arrived at. Interesting to note here that the Egyptians called Apollo Horus in their own language. Since Horus was said to be the sky, he was considered to also contain the sun and the moon. The sun was his right eye and the moon his left eye, and they traversed the sky when he flew across it. So now we have the notion of soaring and an external course, because this is what the sun and the moon take in the celestial sky above us. Is there any way that we can use the Welsh language to shine a little bit more light on this notion? So let's have a look. The sun god was Ra, and that was spelt R-A or R-E. Now in Welsh there is no R followed by a vowel, you have to put an H in between. So Rhi is a swift motion, a course. So this notion of taking a course, and we have radiating here, to radiate. Now we go back here and say we see that the sun was the right eye and the moon the left. So what is this about an eye? Well, chlid is a mouse, a chligad is an eye, and a chlidadin is a glance of light. We have it up here as well. Splendor, chligas. So the splendor, and we have a glance of light again, the splendor of the sun and the moon soaring in their external course of the heavens above is represented by a hawk with the sun in one eye and the moon in the other eye. So now we can see that the Welsh language has provided us a very good explanation of Horus and why he's got the sun in one eye and the moon in the other eye. Let's go on. So above here it said he was from Nekhen in Upper Egypt and was the first national known god. I think that's pretty important, so let's have a quick look at Nekhen. Nekhen was the hawk or city of the falcon. Here is Upper Egypt. There's Nekhen. And we are actually in the pre-dynastic period. So this is before the pharaohs we know, and we have very little information about this period. And we can see here that prehistoric Egypt is before 3150 BC, before current era. And just to put that in context, the Noah flood is supposed to be around about 4000 BCE. So that would have devastated the world, and the ancient world was probably just getting back on its feet after that flooding, especially down the Nile Valley. And Nekhen was the center of Upper Egypt. And here we have, I think we have a king list here. So these are the rulers of prehistoric Upper Egypt, and the first ruler is Elephant. So the end of the 4th millennium BC, that's when the Noah flood occurred, and running into the 3000s BCE. So who was Elephant? We click on that and we go to this page. Elephant was a pre-dynastic, probably the first pharaoh or proto-pharaoh. Now Welsh readers or viewers may have already seen this, because that is immediately seen as a Welsh name. I don't know why he was called Elephant, and over here we can see his name in hieroglyphs, and this is a hawk, and here we have his name in phonetic English, Pen Abu, and this is it in Welsh, Pen Abu. So let's go to our Welsh dictionary and see what that says, because at the moment we know that he might have been called Elephant, he might have this name, but we don't know anything more about this first pharaoh. We go to our dictionary. Pen is a head, a chief, or something that's supreme, and it's the component of supreme sovereign, supremacy, chief, most eminent, at the top. And you can apply it to lots of different circumstances, but now we have an explanation of what pen means. And here we have Ab, a son. There are several words in the Welsh language that have the same meaning. Ab, ap, it says there, or math or map, they all have a similar meaning, which is a son or a descendant. So let's go back to here. We've got a W at the end here, which sounds oo in English, but in Welsh that is I. So let's see if we can put a Welsh suffix on the end of this name. So here we have a list of Welsh suffixes, and there we have W, so let's click on that. So the Welsh suffix W makes a name from a concept that precedes it. So let's go back here. So now we have supreme, descendant, and that makes a name. So the Welsh language has explained Elephant Pharaoh's name, whereas we don't have any other explanation. I hope you have enjoyed this explanation, and we are going to use it as a foundation to investigate and understand the origin of the Zodiac, ancient myths and legends. We can go back and we can look at all of the Egyptian gods. There are explanations for the tail and the hat and this sort of butterfly proboscis. They're all explained using Welsh. We can go through all the Egyptian gods, we can go through all the Greek gods, we can understand why Hercules is called Hercules. So I hope you subscribe and enjoy the videos that are going to follow this one. Thank you.